Hello, this is the Customized Employment Certificate Training Orientation. This training is intended for job seekers, their support system that might include their family members, residential support staff, support coordinators, VR counselors, and anyone else who's important to the job seeker and is interested and part of their team in helping them on their career path. It could be an educator, really anyone. We just want people to understand what's expected in this training, timelines, and how this training opportunity looks. So this is my contact information, and Jason Bennington is with the Utah State Office of Rehabilitation. So please reach out to us if you have any questions. So this is what I'm going to be talking about today. What is customized employment and how is it different? What are the timelines? What is each person's role and responsibility? Who do you contact if you're confused or if you want more information about the process? And then there will be an opportunity for you to ask additional questions and considerations. So customized employment is a service available through an employment service provider agency and is a strategy for helping people find jobs that match their interests, skills, and conditions of employment. But we're also wanting to focus on meeting the needs of the employer. This doesn't sound like it's that different than supported employment. In a lot of ways, it's not. What I was taught by many mentors and brilliant people who taught me about customized employment is that customized employment stands on the shoulders of supported employment. It really is intended for people who have significant support needs, who have maybe not been successful in traditional routes to employment, or just really, given the complexities of their disability, need a customized approach. So this process begins with discovery. And discovery typically begins in a person's home or where they're the most comfortable and where we really can get to know a person best. We also use this time to get to know and talk with people who know that person best. That might be their family, it might be friends, it might be teachers, but typically we start at the person's home. We ask questions about what the job seeker is good at, what opportunities they've had, what they do well, what they're interested in, what collections they might have, what hobbies they might be interested in and spend time doing, what kinds of things they do with their family, what they look forward to, what events are they most excited about, or when are moments when their family or other people in their life have been really proud of them. These often are clues into what's really important to a person, and that guides us down the process of discovery. We use this information to identify businesses and other people who are doing the work that have needs that match their contributions. We also want to know who their social network is, right? If you think about opportunities that you might have had in your past and how you started working, it is typically by people that you knew or word of mouth. And so we want to also connect people with disabilities to those social opportunities and those networks. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like in terms of roles and responsibilities. So ultimately, customized employment uses an individualized approach to employment planning and job development. It is one person at a time, one job at a time. We are not approaching employers and asking for several jobs or those types of things. It really is about one person, their interests, their skills, their contributions, and finding a place where that makes sense and where they'll be at their best. Additionally, the process of discovery is very collaborative. So if you've been involved in employment services in the past, it might have been the case where the employment specialist came in, they maybe asked a few questions, and then they kind of just went off and took the job seeker with them and did interviews or filled out applications or whatever. This process is really drawing on those relationships and the strength of the community. It is really very much centered on a team approach. Because of this, it might feel a little bit intrusive. We really teach the employment specialists in this course to have a conversational approach and really be just engaging in conversation to draw out this information about the job seeker, about the role in your family, who you're connected to, what they do for a living. So if it feels a little bit intrusive and you're not used to answering these kinds of questions or feeling like it's more than you're ready to answer, that's why. It's because we're teaching them to really go about getting at information in a different way. We also hope that you're building rapport and a relationship of trust and respect with the employment specialist. And we know that that takes time, but yet we also know we're on a time crunch and we have some timelines that we're adhering to. So there are some complexities with that approach. What you can expect is that the employment specialist is going to take the lead, but they will be coming back to key members of this person's support team, getting advice and maybe asking for connections to others as they learn more and more about the job seeker. Another key piece to understand is that we are not jumping to the job right away. A wonderful part about the customized employment and discovery process is that we look broader than job descriptions. We look in what are called vocational themes. So vocational themes hold many job descriptions. And what that does is it makes it so we're not limiting ourselves to just a few opportunities. We're looking at places where it makes sense and not limiting those opportunities for people. And I'll talk more about that process later. We use a visual resume or a digital portfolio to share with potential employers. And you'll get to see an example of that in the employment planning meeting and how that works. So now I want to talk a little bit about the timeline so you can understand what to expect. The discovery process, ideally, best practice, should take no more than 9 to 12 weeks. We want employment specialists to be engaging at least every week with job seekers, spending at least 5 hours a week dedicating to get through this process. But because this is a training, and then you add on the practicum hours or the practical application of discovery, there is an additional 40 hours of instruction built in. And so this process with this training accounts for that time. So we're taking about 4 months to get through the training, the practicum, and then some technical assistance to build in. Another key piece to be looking forward to is that we expect employment specialists to hold a customized employment planning meeting and create a vocational profile. This really signifies that we are wrapping up discovery and moving into the phase of customized job development. This, again, is a very collaborative approach, and we bring the team together and want your input about confirming what we've uncovered in the discovery process and really highlighting all of those wonderful qualities and the pathway that we're going to go down in terms of job development in behalf of this job seeker. This process really belongs to the job seeker with the support team around them. And it's a really wonderful process to go through and see all of the wonderful things that the employment specialist has uncovered about the job seeker, as well as the opportunities that exist in terms of places where others who have a common theme that this person could possibly start looking for employment. The phase for this cohort is scheduled, we started April 23rd, and we should wrap up by August 17th. We have some extensions that are offered to be completed by August 25th. What we also know is that, people are messy and things are not always perfect in alignment. And so we do have some allowances if things go beyond those timelines, but we really want to teach best practice. And so adhering to those timelines as much as possible is really what we're hoping for and expecting employment specialists to do. And so with this orientation, we want to share what those expectations are with all of the team members So you can also contribute and be part of helping the employment specialist meet those timelines and get the discovery process completed in that timeline so they can move on to job development. Oftentimes, people start getting anxious and they want to move on to job development. And 4 months feels like a long time. And we understand that. But we also know that this is a really valuable process. And when you take the time to really figure out when and where a person is going to be at their best, we get great results and outcomes. So this is what the timelines or the stages of the discovery process look like. So weeks 1 and 2 are the home and neighborhood visit. I believe many of you have already experienced that. We had some delays in getting this orientation scheduled and how it was going to be delivered. Week 3 is interviewing others and emerging patterns for stage 2. So we wanted those 2 things to be happening fairly quickly between weeks 1 and week 3. Weeks 4 to 8, we have your job seeker working with the employment specialist to be focusing on familiar and unfamiliar discovery activities. We do familiar activities first as we're just building a relationship and rapport between the employment specialist and the job seeker. And then we move on to unfamiliar activities. So it's a really good way to learn how the job seeker learns best, good instruction styles, and then what are some opportunities in the community or places where they haven't done some of those tasks or unfamiliar tasks to get a better sense of what else the job seeker might be interested in. The next phase is really kind of identifying vocational themes. We talked about thinking in vocational themes versus job descriptions. And how we go about that is we start interviewing people who we think have similar themes and identifying businesses and places where we can go to do that. For example, if someone is very interested in cooking or culinary types of things, we would find an artisanal small bakery or a catering company that is doing custom meals and really get some advice about how they got into the field and what training they received and what opportunities they might pursue or recommend this job seeker to look at, or who they might know, or who else they would recommend talking to. So that's the phase of the process where we really start kind of going down and exploring who else has these themes and who could we talk to and get advice from. The next phase is after we do some of those activities and we're really pretty sure about the direction we're going to go with this person, we start putting together the vocational profile. And the vocational profile is really a nice summary of what we have uncovered in the discovery process. The discovery staging record can be pretty lengthy, and it contains a whole lot of wonderful information, and the profile really condenses and summarizes that. And we use that profile to share with the team in the employment planning meeting. We also use that profile to start the development of the digital portfolio or the visual resume. So after we come together and we all agree that we're on the right path and going the right direction, we then move on to the customized job development plan, and that wraps up discovery. Part of what happens in this employment planning meeting is we start identifying places connected to the person's vocational theme, 20 for each theme. So potentially 60 places where it makes sense to go explore and think about where this person could contribute their skills and tasks. And that leads us to that job development and business plan. Employment specialists get support and technical assistance through this whole process, including the job development phase. It's not as intense at the job development phase, but they do continue to get ongoing training and technical assistance opportunities. So now I want to talk about what each person's role and responsibility is. And we talked a little bit about who are the potential members of the team. So that's always going to be the job seeker. It could be a family member, but not always. Some people are not as connected with their families for one reason or another. The VR counselor, who is authorizing the services and very involved in this person's career path. The employment specialist, who's getting this training. A support coordinator, if they're connected to waiver services and developmental disability services. Other service providers, such as residential services or supported living, or they're getting day services. A teacher or transition specialist, really anyone else who's important to the job seeker and committed to their success. Of course, myself as the trainer, and then the USOR administration staff, so Jason Bennington. And then of course, we really need provider management to understand what's expected of employment specialists and the team members so that they can support employment specialists to do the work to fidelity and meet the expectations, not only of this training, but the ongoing work. Here is a chart that shares roles and responsibilities of each of the team members. I'm just going to scroll up here for a moment. Joyce. So I'll just briefly go over this, and then I will also provide these attachments with the recording of this training. So customized employment training coordinator, that's my role. So I'm providing the training. I'm providing the overview, right? So this orientation. I offer the commitment form when people register for the training. So these are all the pieces that I'm expected to do. I work with the employment specialist to help them establish a schedule and activities with the job seeker. I really provide support with those activities, making sure they're task-based and that they're doing visits and activities in settings where it makes sense, connecting them with informational interviews that are relevant to the person's themes and interests. I respond to questions, providing additional material and support, and then I offer regular check-in and coaching calls. And I'm always available to come out and provide on-site technical assistance as well. The state leadership, so that's Jason Bennington's role that I talked about. He works with all of the district directors and the supervising counselors and the referring VR counselors to help them understand what's expected, making sure referrals and authorizations are in place. He's very supportive in all of our training and answers any questions that are related to the processes with VR and interfacing with VR. And then just anything that has to do with implementing customized employment. Employment specialists are responsible for completing the training, participating in all of the calls and check-in sessions, reviewing the commitment statement, understanding what's expected. They have a lot on their plate when they sign on for this training. They need to stay on top of the assignments, scheduling the activities around the job seeker. So I've broken down each of those phases, what they're expected to do during each of those phases. Really important for them to meet regularly with the job seeker, communicate regularly with the family, with the VR counselor. Really is on them to be communicating with the team and letting them know what's going on throughout the process. We need CRP agency supervisors to understand the commitment and level of this training and practicum so that they can be supportive to their employment specialists to be successful and have the time that they need, minimally 6 to 8 hours a week. We want them to start understanding how to review staging records and know what's a quality one, and be willing to implement or participate in coaching calls or planning meetings as needed to offer that support. VR counselors play a very important role. They are the referring party, so letting us know that they have a job, that the job seeker wants to participate in this process. So it's really important to give them updates about how that's going. They want to make sure that in timelines are being adhered to, engaging and participating in team meetings, maybe hosting the meeting for the employment planning session, providing any additional kind of support that is needed, participating in those coaching calls, and just offering any kind of additional information that will be valuable to the discovery process. So hopefully when you get this recording, you can take some time to go through each role and responsibility. So job seekers and support coordinators, we need them to be involved and understand that a person is involved in this training, involved in going through the discovery process. If someone needs ongoing support or supplemental supports, we need them to be involved. And just problem solving. Oftentimes support coordinators have been involved with a person through many phases of their life and can offer some really valuable information into the discovery process and staging record. So it's really important to communicate and be involved with support coordinators. And last but certainly not least, job seekers and the support system that they have in their family. We need you obviously to participate in this orientation, and please reach out with any questions. And then really understanding the sense of urgency and need to prioritize the completion of going through this process. We understand things happen, but really, being able to commit and understand the importance of getting through this, and that ultimately the goal is leading to customized employment. We need people to be positive and hold high expectations and understand the importance of the timelines and how collaborative this process is. And if you're not sure about something or you're feeling some unease, please reach out and I'm happy to work through that. So finally, this is who you reach out to if you are confused or you want more information. This is my contact information. That is my cell phone number. I don't always answer numbers that I don't recognize. So if you want to text me first, I'm happy to call you right back, or you can also email me. If you want to connect with your employment specialist and you don't have their information, you can always reach out to your VR counselor, but hopefully you have their information at this point. I know many of them have met with the job seeker, the person that we're focusing on at least a couple times by now. If you have any questions for the VR administration process, so for Jason, this is his email. And that's it. Thank you, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks so much.